It was actually only a couple of years ago that the term superfoods became widely popularized. And I think it was probably a term coined by marketing execs or people from the food industry in order to influence sales and trends, but the term doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And while it seemingly gets applied to just about any food that has maybe even a slightly more beneficial than normal effect to your health and your nutritional panel, they are excellent for you. So rather than talking about the superfoods that are always discussed, your normal culprits are things like dark leafy greens and berries, etc. I want to talk about 3 superfoods that are so good for you, but you've probably never heard of. Let's jump right in. Number 1 is Ho Shou Wu, and this is a Chinese herbal medicine, and it's also known as faux tea in America. There's this really cool story about the first time it was discovered. Supposedly, there was a man named Mr. He, and he was born impotent. Then he happened to stumble upon this massive growth of the Ho Shou Wu plant, and he was the first one to discover it, and he decided to consume it, and shortly thereafter, he noticed not only massive amounts of hair growth and darkening of hair, but also an increase in fertility and virility. Now, while this is a beautiful traditional story, I prefer not to base my judgments solely off of anecdotal evidence, and luckily, we can actually use science in order to back up some of these claims. Ho Shou Wu contains a lot of iron, and an iron deficiency is seen all the time. Why iron is so important is because it helps the formation of a protein called hemoglobin, and hemoglobin is something that carries oxygen and transports it through your bloodstream. Without adequate hemoglobin, your body's oxygen carrying capacity is impaired. If your blood isn't able to carry enough oxygen to meet your body's requirements, every single organ and function of your body is going to suffer because it's not going to be supplied with adequate nutrients. Iron deficiency also manifests in a whole host of different ways, including but not limited to dizziness, pale skin, lethargy, aches and pains, weakness, feeling fatigued, having brittle nails, and losing hair. There's so many ways that it manifests, like I said, but it makes sense that supplementing iron in those who are deficient would bring back the natural health of your hair, skin, nails, and every other organ that the deficiency manifests itself in, and why you might see more hair growth and less hair loss, so on and so forth. Ho Shou Wu is also high in zinc, and zinc is, again, so crucial for healthy hair, skin, nails, but also testosterone production. There's actually a study conducted in patients with testosterone deficiencies, and they found that in those patients specifically, the supplementation of zinc helped not only boost testosterone production, but also sperm count drastically. It didn't have so much of an effect on men with normal testosterone levels, but again, in those who were already deficient, it definitely helped restore their normal levels. Zinc is even known as an aphrodisiac, and so solely speaking to the claims that people have made for Ho Shou Wu, it's easy to see how supplementing something so high in zinc and iron, like we mentioned, could promote healthy, virility and fertility and really bring back that energy to your body. Ho Shou Wu also increases superoxide dismutase in your body, which helps fight free radicals, and it is an adaptogen, which means that it helps balance out your stress hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine. These are hormones that get released in fight or flight situations, and they result in you reacting with almost a panic doomsday mentality. So if you are able to normalize those hormones and not allow them to go astray and be wildly out of circuit, then overall you're going to have a more balanced approach. You're going to be more sober when you approach situations. You're going to have less anxiety. You're going to feel healthier and more calm and more stable overall. And this radiates into all aspects of your health and wellness. Next is pu'er tea, and this is a naturally fermented tea found in the Yunnan province of China. This tea is actually a main ingredient in a lot of skinny teas because it contains so many metabolism boosting ingredients, and it helps burn stored fat and prevent the accumulation of visceral fat, which is fat that isn't protecting your organs. It isn't a core part of your body. It's on the outside. It's more of the fat that we're talking about when we talk about wanting to burn it. It accomplishes all of this by boosting something called hormone-sensitive lipase. And hormone-sensitive lipase is an enzyme that allows your fat cells to be freed up so that their contents can be emptied out and you're not storing them as long-term fat stores on your body. Pu'er is even a potent cholesterol-reducing agent. There was a study done that compared the effects of the typical cholesterol medication given to patients 3 times a day to another group with elevated cholesterol who was instead treated with Pu'er 3 times a day. And while there wasn't a higher benefit or reduction of cholesterol in the patients taking Pu'er for their treatment, there was a very comparable value when they analyzed it. There was, in fact, a 64.29% reduction in cholesterol in the group that took the tea versus a 66% reduction in the patients who took the cholesterol medication. Now, this just goes to show while there's obviously a clear time and place for medicine, it also doesn't hurt to supplement with herbal treatments when it doesn't interfere with your health in any other way. So while you might not want to go off your cholesterol medication, and you should not, you can supplement an already okay cholesterol treating regime with Pu'er. But make sure to always run this by your doctors, your physicians, your healthcare providers. Let them know what you're doing, because a lot of the time herbs will interact with your health, your organs, and medication that you're taking, either making the medication more active in your body or less active, and you do not want to do this. In order to prevent this and to just make sure that you're not doing anything harmful to your body, just run it past someone. It's so easy. Pu'er is even high in vitamin C, which is my absolute favorite, and this is because vitamin C is a really potent antioxidant and also an anti-cancer agent, according to some studies that have recently been done. Pu'er is also a great alternative to other teas because I find that a lot of teas burn very quickly. If you pour water that's too hot onto them, it changes their intended flavor drastically, but Pu'er doesn't burn easily, and I love that. And at the same time, it is just so good for you, and it has such a warm, earthy flavor that it's nice to know that you're drinking something beneficial to your health. But for the same reason, you do want to avoid it if you are someone who prefers tea to coffee for the difference in caffeine content. I would still stay away from Pu'er because it is very high in its caffeine content. So if you have any issues with it, if you feel anxiety, if you have heart palpitations, if you have gastrointestinal issues, if you have irritable bowel syndrome, anything that would get triggered by having too much caffeine, if you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, etc., then stay away from Pu'er, or at least talk to your doctor about it. Again, just be safe, but it really is so fantastic for your health. And number 3 is natto. Natto are fermented soybeans, and they're often enjoyed as a breakfast food in Japan. Why I love it is because it is a really heart-healthy food and gives you that warm, savory, salty taste in breakfast or whenever you want to eat it without being animal-based. So I really, really like that it gives you a similar flavor while staying plant-based. Plus, it has a whole host of benefits. I will say before I get into the benefits that it smells a little off-putting at first, kind of like a mixture of moldy cheese and socks, which I know does not sound appetizing, but it does taste like barbecue, I promise. So it's a definite acquired taste, but here's why I love it so much. Natto is so high in protein, first of all. You get 18 grams of protein for 100 grams serving, and it's high in vitamin K and zinc. Now, we already mentioned the benefits of zinc earlier in this video, but zinc and vitamin K together help your bones absorb more calcium than they normally would without those vitamins. So as you age, your bones' ability to absorb and hold on to calcium decreases, and the supplementation of things that will help it retain that calcium will only provide added strength. Why I call it heart healthy is because it contains so much fiber and potassium. And both these things are going to aid your arteries in getting rid of plaque accumulation. So rather than going for something like bacon, sausage, etc., for any meal, but namely breakfast, because in Japan this is a breakfast food, having fermented soybeans is such a nice alternative to give you that really savory flavor while not harming your heart health and your arteries at the same time. Because as we have known for ages, these foods are delicious, but they're not good for our heart and they're not good for our arteries. So if we can avoid them and go a little plant-based while still getting that tasty meal in, then why not? It's a win-win situation. In order to ferment these soybeans, you actually have to add in bacteria to them called Bacillus subtilis. Now, you don't have to add in the bacteria yourself. It's done for you when you buy the natto. But what I love about this bacteria is it actually acts as good bacteria for our gut biome. What probiotics do is restore your natural gut biome. So bacteria are often looked at as being harmful to your health, but our bodies hold on to bacteria that is meant to be there. And it is there to fight off foreign invaders and fight off things that are going to harm us. When we are not eating right, when we're taking a lot of antibiotics, and for a whole host of other reasons, sometimes our gut biome gets depleted, which means the healthy bacteria in our bodies get reduced in concentration, and we want to restore that. So eating natto is going to restore some of that healthy bacteria and return your gut to its natural happy state. What this means is you can better absorb nutrients, you can digest your food better, you'll be regular, you will fight off infection better, you will feel less foggy, you'll feel more pure and energetic and full of life like you should and like your body is designed to feel, rather than feeling constantly run down, especially nowadays when everyone seems to be getting sick and the cold weather weakens your immune system. So that's all for now. Those are the 3 superfoods that I wanted to talk to you about, but I did go through them very, very briefly. If you would like to know more, I'm going to be posting a blog on drmashal.com going into length on these 3 topics, and I'm also going to be talking about situations in which you should avoid these superfoods. They are not for everyone. Like I've said all along, you always want to check with your healthcare provider before you start any herbal regime or medical regime. And I'm going to try and cover as many cases where you should be watching out for these herbs and not implementing them in your diet over on the blog. So if you'd like to know more, you can head over there and check it out. It will be up shortly. It's not up now at the time of your watching this video. But yes, that's all. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that you add some of these to your diet and enjoy them as much as I do. And I will see you next time. Bye.